All right, so welcome to my short demonstration about open source Dasharo firmware running on ODROID H4 platform. I will present to you the features and capabilities of this firmware, of this platform. We'll go through the menu and explain the options that are available and other stuff. So as you can see, this is the main front page of the setup application of the Dasharo firmware. It has a couple of submenus presented to us. The currently highlighted one is for the password setting, where you can set up the administrator password to enter the setup application. Next, we have the device manager, which is like a collection for various other submenus that can configure other features of the systems, from Opal, TCG Opal password to HDD password and secure boot configuration, TPM configuration, etc., etc. The TCG drive management is exactly the TCG Opal disk password setup menu, where you can set the password for your disk. But first, you have to enable the features so that you can get more options and actually set up the password. Of course, it will require a reset to get it applied. Then we have the standard secure boot configuration. We have pretty much basic options here, like the enable option. And then if we enter the custom mode, we can have also the advanced secure boot keys management options, like you can reset everything to defaults, erase all secure boot keys, or modify the keys individually. Starting with PK, KEK, DB, and DBX, DBT. Okay, HDD security is like the menu for setting the standard SATA disk password. However, currently I have no SATA disks connected, so this menu is simply empty. And the TCG2 configuration is referring to TPM configuration, where you can just take a peek of what TPM device is actually detected. And as you can see by the HID here, it is like Intel TPM, and the INT-C means Intel comparison. It has CRB, so we are definitely dealing with the FTPM. We can query which PCR hash algorithms are supported and enabled. Along with you can specify some physical presence operation if you want. There are various, like you can change hierarchies, clear the TPM, allocate more PCR banks, etc., etc. And then we also have the option to enable or disable the banks we wish or not wish to have enabled on our system. There's also a network device list. It shows us what network devices are actually present. Here we have the Intel network controllers, and these are basically entries created by the option ROMs. As you can see, it is like the UEFI driver 0.10.06 for the 2.5G Ethernet controller, and we can query the link status and MAC address. And for example, oh, okay, I thought one will be connected, but it seems not. All right. Next one, we have more specific Dasharo features. This is the value added by Dasharo firmware, which you can only find in our builds, and we have grouped the options into various categories, starting with security options, where we can set the BIOS boot medium lock, which sets the protection, the write protection for a part of the BIOS flash. We also have the SMM BIOS write protection, which causes the chipset to reject any attempts to write to flash outside of CPU SMM mode. And we have also a nice interactive entry to enter a firmware update mode, which for one boot cycle disables all firmware protections, um, including flash descriptor protections, and this temporarily disables management engine, so that you can freely write a full image to the flash from software. There are also a few basic options which we developed 2 years ago on Qubes OS Summit, like networking options, which lets you to enable or disable network drivers and anti-PXE. There's also USB configuration, which allows you to disable USB mass storage booting, or disable the entire USB stack, so there is no communication with USB devices during the firmware phase. It was designed primarily for security purposes. We also have various power management options, like we can set the power state which the board should enter after it loses the power. We also have the CPU throttling temperature, which we can configure. For example, if you want your system to be running very cool, then you should increase this value to make the temperature at which the CPU will be throttled a little bit lower. For example, if I set it to 30, the CPU should lower its frequency starting from 70 degrees Celsius. Okay, we also have some basic PCI and PCI Express configuration options, like we can enable PCI Express resizable bars, or we can restrict option ROM execution. We can disable all option ROMs, or enable all option ROMs, or limit the execution to VGA GPU option ROMs. We have also a very basic option to either enable or disable the serial console redirection. So just to show you that the firmware can also stretch to full screen, now we're like disable it right now. And we have also some various CPU configuration options that you can set. And here we can, for example, modify the number of active CPU cores, and it shows you how many cores are in the system. For example, all active will refer to 4 cores, and you can just down core to 3, 2, or 1 active cores. And then you can also enable or disable the Intel CPU hyper-threading feature. Besides those options, we have like a very basic one-time boot menu, which lists you all the present boot options and operating systems detected on disks. We also have a feature that scans the connected disks in look for various operating system bootloaders, ranging from Windows to various Linux distros like Ubuntu, even Qubes OS. So if we see a path on the disk like FE Qubes grab x64.EFI, that means we possibly have a Qubes OS installed on the disk. So we display it here in the menu and create a relevant boot option for it. And there's also like a boot maintenance manager, which allows us to manage driver options, console options, and boot options. I think the most important is just the boot option, which is still like more commonly used. We can like add boot options, so we can browse our file systems that are detected on disks, and just simply select a file that we would like to boot and create a boot option from it. We can also delete existing boot options, where you can just simply select the option and save changes, and the option will be no longer there, unless it is like auto-created option, and of course it will be created again on next boot if given OS is auto-detected. And we can also change the boot order. For example, if you want the Ubuntu to be on top, we can just set it, save changes, and stuff like that. And there's also the timeout for the hotkey input prompt. So when you get this magic logo displayed at boot time, there is a few seconds interval in which you can press the key and to either enter the setup or enter the boot menu. And this is the value where you set how long you should be able to input the key. And there's also a UEFI standard option for the next booting option, which the UEFI should boot, but only for one boot cycle. Okay, let's reset the board by saving changes, and let's see whether I get the stretch screen. All right, and here we are. Now the screen is stretched and everything is perfectly
Not
fitted to
bad,
the
actually.
screen side.
Actually, not bad. It doesn't look stretched. It looks scaled.
Yes, it is pretty much scale. But of course, if you would
On
plug
the
a
Dell HP computers. Oh, sorry.
yeah, but if you would plug a 4K monitor, it would be like very small, very small, very small letters.
Yeah, but that's not stretched. That's maybe the background is stretched. But I meant that I saw on the Dell and
Yeah,
HP.
this is actually the original size of the window that should be, because if I have a
Yeah.
4K monitor, this is uh, the 70 uh, 720p, right?
Yeah.
This is the original size. So I'm just maximized it so that it is scaled and more visible to you.